Okay, I have another original effect to share with you today. And as you can see, we have 4 face cards and 4 number cards. So a couple of jacks and kings, and then a couple of 9s, and then a 4 and a 5. Okay, so first off, I need you to tell me how to stack these. It's your choice. You want right on left? Okay, very good. Now I'm going to begin randomizing these cards by dealing them out into a triangle configuration. Let me just show you how messy they are already, as you can see. Now this is where you decide everything. So for example, if I deal the cards into 2 piles, you decide how to stack those, left on right or right on left. More importantly, you decide how many times to deal out the cards into 2 piles, left on right this time. Okay, we can deal out into 4 piles as many times as you would like. You want the bottom row on top and then right on left. Okay, very good. I don't know if you've seen an even or odd up jog before, but this is a great way to mix the cards. How would you like these stacked? Right on left. The Klondike shuffle is a powerful shuffle. In fact, we'll probably use that in a few minutes, so it might be good for me to show you how to do that. Would you like to see another Klondike? One more? Okay. Now, when you go to do this for the spectator, this mixing that I'm doing right now with the left-right into 4, the up jog, and the Klondike, you can do as many of those as you like. You don't have to do all of them. And the spectator can decide how many times you do each and the stacking. Another one that we can do is something called the Australian down under. Okay, a very destructive shuffle in mathematical card magic. Okay, so we can do one of those, none of those, or 50 of those if you would like. And another one we can do is something called a mange under, over, under, over, under, over, under. You could also do a mange over, under, over, under. And then if you want to get a bit more fancy, we can do as many Pharaoh shuffles as you like. This is where you break the cards in half, and then you perfectly interlace the cards. And there's 2 ways to interlace. Either one's just fine. So we can do one of those or several of those. That's called a Pharaoh shuffle. And maybe a final one to show you, which you can do or not do if you'd like. It's called an alternate left, right, down, under. So you go down, under, down, under, down, down, under, down, under, down, under, down. Last one goes on top. How would you like these stacked? Right on left. Okay, very good. So if you're content with the mixing, and it shouldn't take too much of this to have the spectator realize that no one could know the organization of the cards at this point. We're going to look at the identity of the top card. It is the King of Hearts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spell out King of Hearts. K-I-N-G, King, O-F, of, H-E-A-R-T-S. King of Hearts. And then from here, all I'm going to do is Klondike pairs left and then right. Left and then right. Now, given all of the movement of the cards and the unpredictable and unknowable choices that you ended up making freely throughout this routine, I don't know if it's reasonable to expect anything surprising about these 2 sets of 4 cards. But what I have found is if you as the spectator make a perfect series of choices along the way, despite the fact that they are truly random choices and free choices by you, something very unlikely always occurs. So let's just take a look at what that might be. Oh, okay, well, King over here and a 9 over here. Oh, a Jack over here and a 4 there. Wow, that is looking extremely unlikely. Did we actually separate the face cards from the number cards? We did indeed. How in the world did you help me do that? Because your choices very much dictated the organization of these cards throughout this routine. That is amazing. Okay, so how is this done? Well, it uses Bessey sequences of order 8, and I have a couple of short write-ups to kind of show you what's going on. Now, I'll have a playlist in the description below to Bessey sequences so that you can learn what they are and how you can use them in countless ways in mathematical card magic. And there's also something called Quasi-Bessey sequences, which expands the use of these special arrangements even further. Okay, so first off, let's just take a look at a quick write-up here. So what we're doing here is Bessey sequences and card spellers. So for this effect here, we need to restrict our attention to hearts and spades. So that's something to remember. In addition to that, we will focus on 4-letter card value names. So these would be card value names that have 4 letters in them, like 4, 5, 9, Jack, and King. Those all have 4 letters in their card value name. Now we need to organize them as a Bessey sequence. So when I had you randomly stack these, and then we dealt them out in this triangle configuration, this converts those cards into a Bessey sequence of order 8. Okay, so that does that step for us. Okay, and so what are we looking for here as a Bessey sequence? Well, it needs to have the following structure. Something like 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. Now the 1s and 0s can be whatever you like. So in this particular routine, I have the 1s as either a Jack or a King, and the 0s will be either a 4, 5, or 9. Now all of these are of hearts or spades. That's important. Okay? So the exact sequence that I started with is the one right here. Jack of spades, 5 of hearts, 9 of spades, King of hearts, and then 9 of hearts, King of spades, Jack of hearts, 4 of spades. Okay? So relative to face cards and number cards, this is a Bessey sequence of order 8. Okay? Now, the reason to organize it that way is because this arrangement of any packet of 8 cards protects it from over 1,000 unique ways to mix cards and not harm that arrangement. Okay? And so the several mixing and shuffling procedures that I showed you, where you were given choices on how things were done, stacked, left to right, right to left, how many times to perform each, and so forth, those are all mixing procedures that will not harm this organization. Okay? So what we would do then is mix this packet thoroughly without destroying that important structure, and then we use the name of the new top card for a card spelling procedure. Okay? And so whatever that card was, we spelled it out. Now, regardless of which card among the 4, 5, 9 Jacks or Kings of hearts or spades, all of those, when spelled out in the way that I showed you, will result in a reorganization of the packet in one of these 2 ways. Okay? Now, the important thing here is that these are both mirrored packets. So, for example, if you look at the outer values, it's 1, and then you come in, you get 0, 1, and then in the very middle, you get a couple of zeros. The same sort of thing happens here, but the 0s and 1s switch places. Well, when you have such an arrangement, the Klondike Shuffle, which simply takes the top and bottom card off as 1, will bring 2 of the 1s together. We'll set that down on the left. Then, if we Klondike the next pair, it will be a pair of 0s. So we'll put that on the right. Then we'll have a pair of 1s on the left. And finally, the innermost pair of 0s on the right. So that will perfectly separate the quote 1s from the 0s. So in other words, the face cards and the number cards will be perfectly separated. Okay, so that's driving this whole effect. It's the power of Bessey sequences and their invariance relative to so many mixing procedures, and then card spelling system that converts. In fact, let's just show you that really faster. So we've just converted it to a Bessey sequence. I guess I should have pointed that out here first. So we have a face cards on the end. So you can think of face cards as 1. So I have 1, and number cards as zeros. So I have 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. Okay, so that's of the arrangement that we need for a Bessey sequence. Okay, and then you can mix this in lots of ways. Why don't we'll just do one here, left, right, with random stacking. Okay, and then what we did was we flipped the top card. We spelled out the name of that card, 4 of spades. So F-O-U-R, drop the rest on top, O-F-S-P-A-D-E-S. Okay, so this is guaranteed to finish with one of those two organizations that I just showed you. Okay, so let me just bring it over again here. So what will happen is the outer ones will be of the same kind, come in 1. So we have number cards, face cards, number cards, face cards. So that if you imagine, we'll do it upside down, but if you imagine doing a Klondike left, a Klondike right, a Klondike left, a Klondike right, we are guaranteed to separate the face cards from the number cards. Okay, so that's most of the secret behind it, and I encourage you to take a look at the playlist that will teach you about Bessey sequences and provide dozens of fun mathematical card effects using these most remarkable packet structures. So thank you for watching, and take a look at other videos on the Absolute Math Magic channel.